Hi, this is Chaplain Paul. I decided to make a video, and I made the first one, and it was kind of not going too well. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, what are people going to listen to? Because I could sit here and tell story after story after story of patients and family members, including my own, that went through a living hell in our healthcare system. I could tell story after story after story. It's not going to do anything. It's not. It doesn't move people into fighting back, stepping up in defense of our rights. It doesn't do it. But here's what is needed in making these videos: how to protect yourself and your family when you go into Arizona long-term care, American healthcare. How do you protect yourself? This is a key. This will be a key video. Just some of the basic nuts and bolts and how to protect yourself. If you have a family member that goes into a hospital, no remdesivir, okay? Make sure they do not give your family member remdesivir. And you can look up RFK's videos and other research on this matter. You have to make sure that you have directives and with you. You have to make sure to be by your loved one's side to prevent medical mistakes. So you want to journal medications being given, okay, or film it or do something, have a record of what's being given and how much. Because I will tell you that in long-term care they sneak in psych meds and antidepressants and other drugs without the family's consent or patient's consent. One is called Rigland, not Ritalin, Rigland. It's a drug that's designed to keep patients awake at night with nightmares so that they're more docile during the day. Think about it. Keep them up all night when there's less staff, freaking out, so that they're too tired during the day and they're docile. You want to make sure that you bring in healthy foods, good healthy foods. You want to make sure that you bring in supplements, because supplements are not allowed in these facilities. Unless you really put your foot down, they're not going to give supplements. They're not going to give vitamin C, vitamin D. They're not going to do it. You got to bring in your own supplements. And even if you have to sneak them into the facility, like things like spirulina, black garlic, moringa, other things that are going to help to heal your body and keep you mentally sound. And you can do the research on herbs, Asian forms of healing, supplements and things like that. You got to make sure you get your supplements from a good source, because now big pharma's come in and corrupted a lot of the supplements that we take. So again, if you're going to bring in, let's say, honey, you got to go to a honey farm. All right, you're going to do the black garlic, then you get a black garlic cooker. It's a fermenter. You can get it on Amazon, and it's specially designed. It has a basket that you put the cloves in. You don't peel the bulbs. Put the whole bulbs in the basket. Put about that much water. You put the basket back in. You make sure that the cloves don't hit the bulbs don't hit the water. Plug it in. 4 days later, you got black garlic. You can use it as a spread. It's excellent for your body. Other things like olive leaf tea. What you do is, if you have olive leaf trees or have access to olive leaf trees and they produce the olives, then you take the leaves, about maybe like a quarter gallon size bag of the leaves, strip them off the branches, wash them, get a spaghetti pot or pot, fill it with bottled water, put the leaves in, boil for 15, steep for 15, put it in jars without the leaves, put the water in, put the olive leaf tea in jars, let it cool, put it in the fridge, lasts about 2 weeks. If it starts turning red, throw it away. So you want to drink it relatively within 10 days, drink whatever you may. And it's excellent for your cardio. It lowers your blood sugar, it lowers your cholesterol. It's an antioxidant, antidepressant, anti-anxiety. olive leaf tea. Very simple to make. You can even buy the leaves. You can even buy olive leaf tea online. Okay. Uh, Spirulina is very good for energy. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of herbs and again supplements, as long as they're from a good source. Swanson's. Swanson's is a company that has a good source of supplements. Also, seaweed, dried seaweed, is an excellent source of food. And now again, if you can't have salt, then that's out. If you can't have potassium, then like beet juice. If you take beets and skin them and cut them and boil that in bottled water, it makes a rich juice. Beet juice is very good for your circulation. Again, if you can't have potassium, then beet juice is out, so do your research. If you have ailments and you have certain things like you can't have vitamin C or vitamin D because of certain ailments, well then you can't have those. But there are many other sources of herbs you grow in your backyard that have healing power. And it's critical that patients, family have these things. The comforts from home, stuffed animals, pictures in the room, visits often. Day one of going in a hospital or a long-term care facility or a group home, you get an Alexa app that's visual. You don't need permission to put it in there. Okay, if they say no, then move out of that facility. I'd say contact the long-term care licensing department or the attorney general. If they say, well, it's up to the individual, it's up to the facility whether you can have like an Alexa app, and it's voice activated and it's video. It hooks right up to it attaches to your phone. So wherever you're going, it's voice activated. So if the patient's paralyzed, all they have to say is, call so and so, and it'll ring their phone, and vice versa. And you can watch. And if staff comes in the room and they're examining and they find something, you don't have to drive across town to go to the facility. You could actually see it. Now, if they say, oh, you can't have one of those, well, you could still have your laptop. You could still have your phone. If you're physically able, there's still ways to have Zoom and other methods where you have visual, okay, which is critical. You need to journal everything, get names. Make it known that you're not going to tolerate any forms of neglect, abuse, or mistreatment, that you have an attorney, even if you don't. Even if you don't have an attorney, say you do. Say you have a family member that's an attorney, and we're not going to tolerate any forms of neglect, abuse, and mistreatment. Examine the patient regularly, looking for bed sores and infections and other rashes and things. That's critical. There's other things I can't think right now. It's important that directives, be sure to journal, be on the lookout for medical mistakes, make sure their medical wishes are being honored, making sure they're receiving the love and comfort and compassion we all need, and care, encouragement we all need to have a fighting chance for survival. Try not to eat processed foods. It slows our ability to heal and has a deficit on our mental health when we eat unhealthy foods, and we're fighting illnesses. It has a detriment on our physical health, our spiritual health, and our physical health, and our mental health. Know this, that you don't go in like a naive child, because the industry makes mistakes. Over 400,000 people die a year because of preventable medical mistakes in hospitals alone. That's 1,100 people a day Today, 1,100 people died in the United States because of a preventable medical mistake in hospitals alone. That's not including nursing homes, care centers, medical rehabs, group homes. If we add that into the equation, it could be, who knows, millions. It could be double, 800,000, 2,000 people a day dying because of a preventable medical mistake. Are you serious? That's an epidemic. So this is all the more reason to be by your family member's side. All the more reason to have your guard up. All the more reason to question authority. All the more reason to be their bodyguard. Love is a key factor in healing. If the patient is isolated and is not receiving love, encouragement, kindness, comfort, then they're going to waste away and die. Okay, because the human condition cannot tolerate isolation for very long. During COVID, they locked the patients away in isolation for over a year without any visits by family or clergy. That was a violation of their civil rights, patients' rights, human rights, and constitutional rights. Locked in a room. Can you imagine if a member of your family was in an accident, God forbid, was sent to the hospital, then sent to a long-term care facility, and you were not able to get in there, be by their side? Not only to prevent and do the things that I said, but there's also another equation in this. There are mentally ill, violent patients that are in these facilities, and there are abusive staff. So being in there helps to prevent abusive staff and other mentally ill, violent patients from beating and raping and killing our loved ones. How do I know this is true? Because in the 2023 November, here, wait a minute. Intermission. Intermission's over. See this? This is Sunday, November 26, 2023. This whole system has failed. I made, a dozen videos showing this paper. Senior care centers face little accountability when resident staff are sexually assaulted. A series of stories. Graphic stories of patients being raped and beaten to death by abusive staff and by other mentally ill, violent patients. All right? If this was 30 years ago, the outrage, there would have been such outrage, I guarantee that most of our elected officials would not only be thrown out of office, but charged with a crime and thrown in prison for failing to protect our loved ones. All right? About an 85-year-old woman that was raped in the bed. Raped. Can you imagine? Grandma or your wife is in a facility, or even your husband. Back in the day, I was known as the Democratic Kid. I got on talk radio, activist with the Alliance for Retired Americans, fighting for the preservation of Medicare and Social Security. And when I would call in talk radio and tell about what happened to my parents and things, people would hear me, and then they would bring me their horror stories. Well, this one time there was like an outdoor fair for seniors, with tents and stuff. And a woman and her mother came over and started talking to me. The mother was probably in her 80s, and her daughter was probably in her 60s. And they proceed to tell me that their father was in a facility in Scottsdale, and at the time there was only one facility. It was, it's off of, it's in South Scottsdale, okay? And their father had a stroke and he couldn't talk, and a patient who's a woman tied his hands to the bed and molested him. Think about it. And what happened was they went to court, And the judge put a gag order on them not to go public with this, otherwise they'd be arrested, because it was the only long-term care facility in South Scottsdale at the time. One of, maybe there was two or three, but they didn't want that negative publicity to get out into the public. So they were told not to go to the media, not to talk about it, otherwise they would be arrested. Can you imagine? Imagine your father being tied to the bed and molested by a mentally ill patient. Imagine your mother or grandmother raped in the bed and she's fighting for her life with some sort of health problem. And then the woman gets out of bed when she had enough strength. This is like a picture of her hand. Crawling on the floor, out in the hallway. There's no staff. Crawls over to the staff office. It's locked. So here we see this picture of her writing a note. She had to write a note and shove it under the door. Graphic stories. Not one, many. This is a year after the Audit General's 2022 audit of our health services. In that audit, it was uncovered that there were hundreds and hundreds of very serious complaints of sexual and physical abuse that were downgraded, dismissed without any investigation. Downgraded, dismissed without any investigation. In that audit, there are real reforms that will greatly improve the safety and quality of care in Arizona long-term care. On page 14, there's a direct recommendation that the legislature is to create a task force to hold our health services accountable. What is it, 4.5 years later, nothing? Nothing. They had a couple of hearings, I testified at one of them. Nothing. Then they put together this cockamamie commission chaired by Senator Dunn. Our tax dollars, okay, this was voted for, and our tax dollars pay for this commission that meets maybe two, 3 times a year as a fact-finding sort of a commission. It's all window dressing. Nothing's been accomplished. Our rights, there are state and federal long-term care rights, laws, and regulations that are being ignored in the state of Arizona. Again, what's it going to take for people to contact their elected officials and demand that laws be enforced and our rights be protected in Arizona long-term care and in Arizona healthcare? What's it going to take? Obviously, it's going to take it happening to them. Because no matter what I say or do, people they don't want to get off their ass and do anything, let alone pick up a phone, send an email. They don't want to do it. They are under the delusion that they're never going to have to go through these horrors, and I guarantee you are. Just like my family had to, and just like neighbors, friends, people that I know. One day, it's coming to your front door, and you're not going to be ready for it. You say, well, Paul, I'll get an attorney. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this. Well, guess what? They changed the statutes, so now long-term care lawsuits are no longer being awarded attorney's fees. So when you can't find an attorney, then what are you going to do? I'll go to my elected officials. I'll go to the governor. I'll go here. I'll go to these departments. I'll go to the Audit General. No, not the Audit General. I'll go to the Attorney General. No, you won't. I already did all that. It got me nowhere. Then what are you going to do? You know what you're going to do? You're going to come home at about 10 o'clock at night to an empty house as your poor wife or husband's laying in the bed, and you're going to sit there with your hands to your face and cry. Because you're going to come to the realization that nobody gives a damn about your rights, nobody cares about your family, and you're going to understand that as a society, when we only think of ourselves and we don't defend our rights collectively, okay, then we get screwed. Because our rights are not just individual, they're collective. When one person's rights are violated, directly, when one person's rights are violated directly, everybody's rights are violated indirectly. So when the people that, the children, the sick, the young, the old, the dying, the widow, the vulnerable, the left behind, the taken advantage of, and their rights are violated, and you're watching on the news and you don't do a damn thing, know this, what their rights are being violated, it affects you indirectly. Because what's happening that we're not fighting for their rights today, it's just setting us up to be the next victims of having our rights violated in the future. It's like this is moving around. That's a fact. Your rights are going to be violated one day, and there's nothing you can do about it, because we live in a time where instead of standing up for our rights as a society all together, all for one, no person left behind, we're going to stand up and make sure our rights are defended, protected, preserved, strengthened, exercised, and enforced. And we're going to be committed to doing that as a society. Until we do that, we're all in line to be the next victims. If this doesn't move people into action, nothing will. Nothing. If rape and beatings by abusive staff and by other mentally ill violent patients of people that are sick and dying and vulnerable, if that doesn't move the Arizona citizens into action, then nothing will. And like I said in my other video, when life has been cheapened to this degree in a society, God will come in and remove that society as sure as I'm sitting here. Because all you have to do, if you don't believe in the Bible, then read a world history. Because it happened over and over and over again in world history when a country cheapened life to such a degree, then all hell broke loose in that country. Either revolution, man-made natural disasters, floods, fires, hurricanes, something happened to create absolute destruction and misery for that society, for that country. Well, Arizona, guess what? There's a lot that could happen in Arizona. Okay? We could run out of water. God can dry it up. He could take a straw and suck up all the water, and then what are we going to do? With no water, what are we going to do? Our property would be worth zero, and then what? We get in our cars and leave like a bunch of nomads, refugees. And then we're all sitting around somewhere, scratching our head, why did this happen? And then I come walking along and say, because of this. Because God is a God of, because our Heavenly Father is a God of kindness and severity. He's a God of mercy, grace, and chastisement. He is a God of love and justice. And if we're going to allow people to be butchered and raped in these facilities, if we're going to allow the homeless not to receive help, and if we do go to help them, we get arrested and fined $2,500, if we're going to allow children and from the cradle to the grave to be exploited and taken advantage of, how many vax shots do they want to put in our children now? What, 30, 40? When I was a kid, you had 4. Okay? And before I go, I want you to understand something. The vaccine that I got as a kid is long worn off. I had COVID twice. Did I die? No. I mean, think about that, man. Okay? Vaccines for children? Yes. All right? I would say yes because they're vulnerable and yes, but do your research. Okay? Because we live in a time where great evil is corrupting everything we put our hands on, from our vaccines to our food, our water, our deodorant, our toothpaste, our shampoo, everything, our supplements, all corrupted. Why? Because a healthy America don't make big pharma and big medicine, American healthcare, they'll make them no profits. So they got to have their sheep and their cattle, okay, coming in the front door and going out the back door to the morgue. They got to have that conveyor belt. How do you keep that coming? Well, as a child, well, we don't do breastfeeding anymore. It's not natural, so we give you powder, whatever it's called. Okay, and there's crap in that. Breast milk is excellent source to build immunity, but we've been brainwashed to think that that's somehow not natural. Anyway, I'm running out of time. Learn how to defend your family in American healthcare. Do not go in like naive little children and do whatever they say without questioning that, without questioning authority, because they're gonna do to you just like the oil change people do. You roll in, you want to get a $30 oil change. They open the hood. They say, oh, there's a crack here. Here you need a new air filter, oil filter. You need a new gas filter. You need this, that, and the other. Because look, there's a little dirt, there's a little wear, there's a little tear, and the next thing you know, spending $700 because that's what their whole game is. Fear. Well, same thing in healthcare. You walk in, okay, you need to get something checked, and the next thing you know, what, they load you up on pharmaceuticals, and you got a $100,000 bill because they scared the hell out of you. Better safe than sorry. Better safe than sorry. It took me years to come up with a response to that. No, it's not better safe than sorry. Better to be of sound mind and left alone and be at peace than be turned into a human pincushion for profit and greed. Okay? So you do your research. Do your research and ask God for godly wisdom and follow Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 daily. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths. When you make Him Lord, He shall direct your paths. Ask for godly wisdom in these situations. Read your word, pray, and let Him guide you. And like Pastor Sean always used to say, Jesus loves you and so do I. Have a great day.